Breaking news tonight, a road rage altercation ends with one driver being shot in the face. We're live in Taylorsville.
Tracking storms here across Utah brings some strong winds and heavy rainfall. Where we'll see those storms tonight and what you can expect for your morning drive.
A Utah man accused several different times of sexual crimes against children. Those charges dismissed.
These are real children that he physically harmed.
Tonight, he's back in court, and one victim's mother says this time she may finally get justice.
BYU says it found no evidence of racial slurs being hurled at an opposing player a few weeks ago. Tonight, the West Coast Conference is backing the investigation. We'll show you why.
They're the officers who do the toughest police work and the most dangerous jobs.
These are violent people that we have to take off the streets, and that's what we are doing.
New at 9, the honor being given to this elite strike team.
We start Fox 13 News at 9 tonight with breaking news. Road rage in Taylorsville almost cost someone their life tonight.
A man is now in the hospital after being shot in the face by another driver. It happened near 3200 West and 6200 South just before 5 o'clock tonight. Fox 13 News reporter Emily Tenser joining us live this evening from that very intersection. Emily.
Brian, Kelly, cars here on 6200 South are breezing by without a problem. But just hours ago, Utahns on their evening commute had to find a different way home. All the lanes in both directions were closed for about an hour.
A reminder to all drivers out there, when you get behind the wheel, be patient and control your anger.
You never know who's in the cars out there going by.
Taylorsville police say something went down between a Tesla and a pickup driver on 6200 South. The Tesla driver got out of the car to confront the truck stuck in traffic. Investigators think that's when the truck driver shot the Tesla driver in the face.
He was transported immediately to IMC, a local hospital. In stable condition. He was still talking and cooperative with officers and detectives.
Neighbors are shocked this happened right behind their homes.
Well, of course that's not good for anybody.
Yeah.
Well, hasn't had any trouble, so.
Police say the truck driver stayed on scene and has been cooperating with law enforcement.
I have no idea what happened. Again, I didn't speak with him. That's up to our investigative team to try to figure out.
Officers say road rage shootings are rare, but road rage itself is on the rise.
As we get more and more population, a lot more drivers on the roadway. They're getting very impatient, trying to get to their destination. So we're starting to see that road rage occur more and more.
We don't know much about the shooter or the Tesla driver. We just know they're both adult men and that they don't know each other. The Tesla driver is expected to survive. Reporting live in Taylorsville, Emily Tenser, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Emily, thank you. We have an update to breaking news that we brought you on Fox 13 News live at 5. Grantsville City Police say a missing 14-year-old girl they believed was kidnapped has been found and is back with her family. The girl, who we are no longer identifying, was away from home since Saturday. Police thought she left the state with 2 other people. Grantsville City Police thanking everyone who helped share that information in their search to bring that girl home.
Switching gears to weather now. It has been a rainy night in northern Utah. Here's a look at some of the rain in Cache Valley earlier this evening. Even here in Salt Lake County, I had to use my windshield wipers. I ran out earlier this evening, and it's nice and cool as well. Let's get to Utah Weather Authority Allison Krogan.
Yes, a few areas of ponding on the roads up along the Wasatch back near Park City tonight, up into Ogden through far west earlier this evening. So far for the southern mountains, we've seen about 1.5 inches of rain for Zion Canyon. 1.30, a little less than an inch for Wellington, Deer Valley, a little less than 1/2 inch of rain for Provo, less than a third of an inch of rain, and for the University of Utah coming in at 0.08. So what we're watching for you over the next few days will continue to be some storms, especially across northern Utah. Antelope Island up through Ogden, far west right now through the Cache Valley, still have some rain coming down. As we look at the bigger picture along the Wasatch Front, storms developing still out towards Dugway. And then across southern Utah, we've had some very strong thunderstorms moving through the northern part of Washington County near Enterprise. A little bit of lightning just west of Cedar right now. And for Salt Lake through the evening, we'll have the chance for some thunderstorms into the overnight hours with temperatures dropping close to 60 for a low. I'll let you know what you can expect over the next couple of days for flooding concerns and also how long these cooler temperatures will last.
Thanks, Allison. Today, the FBI carried out a raid in Colorado City.
Residents say at least one home had agents there. Fox 13 News is told it is related to the arrest of a 46-year-old man named Samuel Bateman. Police reports say he was pulled over heading towards Phoenix with several children in a locked horse trailer and in his vehicle. The children range in age from 11 to 15. Some of the children, the documents say, were not his, and he was booked on child abuse charges.
A Utah man accused of voyeurism and other sexual crimes against children appeared in court again today for an evidentiary hearing regarding his competency. 27-year-old Jonathan Soberanis has had multiple charges against him, dismissed without prejudice in the past because courts deemed him incompetent to stand trial. Today's court appearance dealt with an arrest last summer for allegedly sexually assaulting a 5-year-old in a rec center bathroom. We spoke with the mother of a victim involved in yet another incident in Lehigh back in January when Soberanis allegedly peered into her son's bedroom window. She says that she has spent countless hours calling and emailing the governor and the attorney general's office demanding change.
I saw this broken system, this loophole that he was falling through time and time again. And everywhere he went, he was creating victims. And it ended up now that my son was one of them. And I just wasn't accepting any answer I was being given as far as why he was allowed in public or why he was allowed to move to my neighborhood without my knowledge.
Well, today's hearing and testimony went so long, the hearing has been continued to a later date, to next Thursday, September 22nd. Also of note, a federal grand jury charged Soberanis just last week for distributing and transporting child pornography.
University of Utah police are trying to track down who put pornography on display on an electronic billboard in front of the George Eccles Student Life Center on campus. The university says they first received reports of these images just after 2 o'clock this afternoon. University staff fixed the kiosk about an hour later. A spokesperson for the university says this breach started at 12:30 a.m. on Sunday and that users logged into multiple porn sites over the next 2 days at the kiosk. Police will now look at surveillance footage to find out who did this. The U says no other kiosks were impacted.
Well, the West Coast Conference now backing BYU in its investigation into whether a fan yelled racist slurs at a Duke women's volleyball player. That investigation found no evidence of the player's claim. In a statement today, the conference wrote it reviewed the information and believes BYU's investigation was, quote, transparent and thorough. The WCC noted that does not necessarily mean nothing happened, just that BYU took the appropriate actions.
Well, it's safe to say a lot of us just don't know how difficult police work can be. When a big case is cracked or a breakthrough comes at the right time, it might only be a pat on the back for those officers as a job well done. Recently, Unified Police Department received an award for their work, an award that recognizes their efforts to take down some of the most dangerous criminals on the run.
It's a team that goes after violent fugitives. And many of our community may not even know what they do.
Utah's Violent Fugitive Apprehension Strike Team isn't talked about a whole lot, which is partially by design, given the people they're trying to track down.
Many are violent offenders where they've committed homicides or multiple homicides, violent gang crime, major drug cases where they're drug dealers.
Taking those suspects off the streets is part of what Sergeant James Taylor has been doing the last 4 years.
This is one of the few things I've done in 23 years in law enforcement that actually I feel like I'm actually helping the community.
It's the community they're trying to protect in the delicate process of tracking down violent criminals.
All walks of life. We've arrested individuals on warrants, all in every neighborhood and community around the valley and in the state.
Along with members from other law enforcement agencies in the state, there are 7 members of Unified Police Department that are task force officers, a part of the VFAST unit.
The U.S. Marshal Service in the District of Utah, Salt Lake City specifically, runs VFAST statewide.
Recently, the U.S. Marshal Service District of Utah awarded UPD with their VFAST Agency of the Year award for their work protecting the public while taking fugitives off the streets.
I think it shows the dedication, again, the sacrifice that these men and women make for their communities. I mean, we do this because it makes a difference. We know it makes a difference. It makes a difference in keeping our communities safer.
The same communities that these officers and their families live in.
Unfortunately, there's been times where the fugitive is in the neighborhood I live in or nearby. And I'd say most task force officers could probably say the same, since we live in all different communities within the area.
While the award is positive recognition for those officers who are part of the UPD team, it's a reminder that this tough, time-consuming police work is about the people they swore to protect.
At the end of the day, we get to go home safe. The community gets to go home safe, and that's what we strive for every day.
This is the second time the U.S. Marshal Service has presented this award. They told me UPD is instrumental to their success with tracking down violent criminals, not just in the Salt Lake Valley, but across the entire state. People living in one Utah city are bewildered after learning the city plans to destroy hundreds of trees across several neighborhoods. Why they say it has to be done.
Plus, a celebration in Sandy tonight after a nonprofit helped get free crucial healthcare products in middle and high schools in Utah. Why this initiative means so much.
2 new jazz players were officially introduced. Coming up, we'll hear from Colin Sexton and Ochai Obaji.
Just into the Fox 13 newsroom, Santaquin police say a dog is now dead after it was shot outside a Macy's grocery store. Police say this all started after they received a call around 6 o'clock this evening about 3 pit bulls attacking people, including a store employee. Now, a man in the parking lot shot one of the dogs after it came after him. The owner told police he secured them in his car with the windows partially rolled down before he went into the grocery store. He says he does not know how the dogs got out of the car. Police say the owner is now facing charges. The man who shot the dog will not be investigated because he was acting in self-defense.
Draper's Only Hospital is growing alongside its community to meet the healthcare needs of the people who live there. Take a look. Mountain Star Healthcare held a ribbon cutting today at Lone Peak Hospital to celebrate its expansion that nearly doubles the number of inpatient beds to 61. As part of the expansion, the hospital will gain more than 33,000 square feet and renovate almost 42,000 more. Included in the project is a brand new state-of-the-art neonatal intensive care unit for some of Utah's youngest patients. That includes 9 new labor and delivery suites, 2 new operating rooms, a new cafeteria, among other adds. By winter, Lone Peak Hospital will also have 2 new MRI machines, a pharmacy, and a lab.
Volunteers gave a helping hand today to people living outside of polygamy for the first time in their lives. Ken Garf employees working with Holding Out Help. That's a nonprofit based in Utah dedicated to helping those from a polygamous background. Today, they were in Draper, xeriscaping yards. They laid down rocks and planted trees, among other sustainable plants.
The impact today is going to be massive for us because we're a tiny nonprofit in the big scheme of things, and so we don't have a lot of funding. And Ken Garf is not only picking up the volunteerism, but they're picking up the funding of all the stuff that they're doing today, and so it's massive.
Volunteerism is part of Ken Garf's We're Here For You program, where a person or group in need is selected to receive support of the company and its employees. Well, the city of Lehi now in the process of removing hundreds of trees from several neighborhoods. They say it's out of concern for sidewalk safety and driver visibility.
New tonight, Fox 13 News reporter Jenna Bree tells us why, despite the concerns, residents don't want the trees chopped down.
This has sweeping impacts on probably thousands of trees.
Around 300 trees in Lehi's Olympic Park neighborhood will soon be removed, like they were never there.
I've got a son that has asthma. We are known in Utah for having terrible air. This is not going to contribute to a healthy lifestyle for him.
Jordan Jensen says anywhere from 3 to 15% of his home value is tied to these trees.
To be totally honest and selfish, I think that, it's most important to my property value, frankly.
The city is removing trees they planted decades ago, which they say are now a liability.
Because the roots have grown underneath the sidewalk, have raised as much as 3 or 4 inches in some places, and that's to the extent that we can't just go in and shave down those sidewalks to make it level. And so we've got accessibility issues, we've got trip hazards.
City Administrator Cameron Boyle says strollers and wheelchairs can't use Lehigh's sidewalks. Plus, the large tree canopies make it hard for drivers to see.
We value trees. We want to see trees in our community. The beauty that it brings to the streets. We just need them to be in the proper place and the proper size of tree for the area.
But residents don't think getting rid of all the trees at once is the best solution.
I understand that there's damage being done to the actual, infrastructure put on by the city. However, a one-size-fits-all approach to city legislation is really not what anyone wants.
Lehigh residents now have the opportunity to get a voucher from the city to take to a greenhouse, pick out an approved tree, and plant it. In Lehigh, Jenna Bree, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Thanks so much, Jenna. The city is already giving out those vouchers. Homeowners do have to meet with the city arborist before getting approved for a specific tree.
Still some areas of rain coming down across Utah, mainly right now for the northern Wasatch Front, from about Grantsville all the way up towards, let's call it, Bear Lake. So what we're watching for you right now as we look up towards Far West and Ogden, still some heavy rainfall out towards Royce, just west of I-15, some heavy rainfall near Antelope Island, and then down towards Enterprise into southwest Utah. We do have some areas of heavy lightning, some heavy rainfall and quite a bit of lightning coming down in northern Washington County tonight up towards just west of Panguitch. So our flash flood concerns over the next couple of days will continue to be slot canyons, normally dry washes, and recent burn scars. And just a quick reminder, refresher, never drive or walk through flooded roads or washes. Stay informed so you can stay safe. We will continue with some thunderstorms into the overnight hours. By 3 a.m., we're going to have some storms still going out towards Tooele County, up along the Wasatch Mountains, and then even into the Salt Lake Valley into the overnight hours. And then by tomorrow morning, we still have the chance for some thunderstorms to be coming down across the Salt Lake Valley. And we will have some more storms in the forecast into the next couple of days. So more active weather on the way. We're keeping things comfortable for our daytime highs here across the state with some cool mornings. So if you've been dreaming of the cooler weather, I think you're going to like the 7-day forecast. Our storm threat for tomorrow is the chance for thunderstorms here across the state by Wednesday morning, 50s and 60s. And then into tomorrow afternoon, we'll have those temperatures making it into the 60s and 70s here across the state. So much, much cooler than we've been dealing with over the last few weeks. Your wind gust forecast for tomorrow will be a little breezy at times into southern Utah, but not bad, 15 to 25 miles per hour. For St. George, your chance for storms tomorrow will be widespread, and then you're going to see much drier conditions across southern Utah settling in by Thursday. For Ogden, scattered for Wednesday, widespread Thursday. We're back to scattered storms Friday and Saturday. After that, isolated, we're going to keep that chance for some storms into the early part of next week. And for Provo, widespread storms Wednesday, scattered storms Thursday, Friday, isolated storms Saturday, Sunday, with some more widely scattered storms early next week. St. George near 80 with thunderstorms, 86 on Thursday. Will keep you sunny this weekend, 85 to 90, so very enjoyable conditions for southern Utah. Perfect camping weather. And for the Wasatch Front, we're going to continue with storms throughout much of our 7-day forecast. Temps around 75 to 80 through Monday, and then middle of next week we're much cooler with some better chances for some snow even in the forecast. We'll talk more about that, plus that chance for rain and storms here in Salt Lake City. We'll break that down in your Super 7-day forecast.
Can't believe you said snow. Allison, thanks. Straight ahead, a party tonight with a cause. Why all these girls are changing the world one cycle at a time.
Thanks for joining us tonight. Kelly Chapman, Brian Schneean for Bob Evans. Thanks for having me.
Glad you're here, Brian.
300 female student ambassadors partied with a purpose tonight.
Oh, yes, we did. And I was there too as well, Brian, surrounded by wonderful women, all on a mission. The Utah Period Project hosted tonight's event at 20 Creek in Sandy to pack 3,000 period kits that will go to underserved communities. The nonprofit worked hard this past legislative session to get period products, tampons and pads in every school in Utah. Tonight, they celebrated girls who champion their efforts and will be the next generation of voices for women in the state.
We're in this together. We're coming together to kind of change the face of our communities and to make them like healthier and happier for everyone involved.
The Utah Period Project is a public-private partnership, meaning private charity giving of funds is offsetting what the state pays to have period products in all Utah schools.
Salt Lake City and County is announcing funding more affordable units for those experiencing homelessness here in our community.
One of Utah's largest churches is speaking out in opposition of the proposed gondola project.
And tonight, Russia is on the run.
It was our country, it's ours. It's not theirs.
Why Ukrainians living in Utah say this could finally be a turning point in the war.
A Utah man with a special skill and a passion for helping others.
This badge represents a massive sacrifice to this community.
How he's helping ease a family's pain after a police officer was killed in Colorado.
BYU and Utah continue to prepare for their matchups. We'll hear from the teams after today's practices.
Salt Lake City leaders announced today they're trying to get more funding to help solve homelessness.
Fox 13 News reporter Maithili Gubi spoke with the mayor and homeless advocates about this move.
It's up to us to show what kind of wonderful outcomes we can give because of the money that they gave us.
Pamela Atkinson has been working with the homeless population in Salt Lake for nearly 3 decades and is talking about the city's investment in creating more housing solutions.
It's the largest single-year increase in permanent and transitional housing in the city's history.
Salt Lake City Mayor Aaron Mendenhall announced a proposal to finance more than 400 homeless housing units through a $6 million grant, in addition to state and county money already going toward the initiative.
Coming from our CIP, our capital investment program, and they're dollars that we have in our budget right now, and we're ready to get them out.
Atkinson, who has been very involved in helping the homeless population, says projects like these are crucial because it helps address individual needs of people rather than using a one-size-fits-all approach.
Our homeless friends are no different from the general public, and each of them like different type of housing. Now, one person likes the tiny homes, another person likes an apartment. And I think part of our job is to make sure that we get homeless people into the right kind of shelter and apartments that is conducive to them getting better.
The concept is for developers to be able to apply for grant money from the fund to build units in their properties for those experiencing homelessness by April 2023, once the winter overflow shelters close.
We have service providers, we have housing providers who have identified locations that are already built, and so they're adapting them to become permanent housing.
Atkinson says every dollar invested and every move made is a step in the right direction to help those in need and get people off the streets.
It's the small things that make a difference, and a small amount of caring for one homeless person is going to make a huge difference.
Once the proposal is in front of the Salt Lake City Council, members will review the plan and then formalize it for developers to apply for dollars soon after. In downtown Salt Lake, I am Maithili Gubi, Fox 13 News, Utah.
And the gondola is not an option for the poor, and using that kind of state funding for an option that will not benefit anyone who's low income seems like a pretty poor use of taxpayer funds to us.
Well, the Catholic Church in Utah speaking out against a proposed gondola in Little Cottonwood Canyon.
The faith is weighing in, saying it will hurt the poor in other ways than just a trip up and down the canyon.
Fox 13 News political reporter Ben Winslow has the exclusive story.
The diocese does not favor the gondola for many reasons.
The Catholic Diocese of Salt Lake City sent an email to its members urging them to speak out against the proposed gondola project in Little Cottonwood Canyon.
We believe all public policy should be judged by how it impacts the most vulnerable. This one does horrible things for the most vulnerable because it does absolutely nothing for them, and it is a substantial amount of funding going to something that's really only going to benefit people who already can afford to ski, first of all, and then can afford this transit option.
The faith argues a gondola would hurt the environment in Little Cottonwood Canyon. The project could cost at least $500 million, and the diocese says that money should be spent on other priorities.
And budgets are moral documents. That idea of how we spend state taxpayer funding, we're making moral decisions here. And for us, the moral decision would be, let's put that kind of money into things that are going to benefit the least among us.
The proposed gondola would launch from Lakai and stop at Snowbird and Alta. It's faced protests and political opposition from Salt Lake City and county leaders, but it's ultimately up to the legislature to decide if the project even gets funded. UDOT is recommending a phased-in approach, trying other transit options like buses first. It also has another 45-day public comment period underway. In a statement, UDOT says it appreciates all public comments on the draft Little Cottonwood Canyon environmental study, and public feedback is essential. Following review of all public comments, UDOT will release a final document. Funding will not be identified until a final decision is made. Snowbird and Alta ski resorts did not immediately have a comment on the church's position. By the way, under the law, churches can weigh in on social issues and causes without fear of losing their tax-exempt status. They just can't endorse political candidates. At the Cathedral of the Madeleine, Ben Winslow, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Today, the new Salt Lake International Airport celebrated its second anniversary. Time flies. The airport held a worker appreciation event at the construction site for the airport's latest expansion. They're also marking a milestone for the time it's taken to build it at a whopping 12 million craft hours.
This is the largest construction project in the history of the state of Utah, public works project, and by a fairly large order of magnitude. So people will have been working on this project for anywhere between 12 and 15 years, which is pretty amazing.
By next May, the airport will have 4 gates open, with the entire concourse set to open by November next year.
Brian, right now, a group of Utah veterans, they're in Washington, D.C. tonight, all part of the Honor Flight program. These 74 vets served in World War II, the Korean War, and Vietnam. They left Salt Lake City early this morning. They will return home tomorrow night. On the trip, they'll visit Fort McHenry National Monument, also the Marine Corps and Air Force memorials, Arlington National Cemetery, and several war memorials.
Coming up, after being under siege for months, Ukrainian forces are starting to turn the tide in the war against Russia. What Ukrainians in Utah are hoping to see next.
And if you liked the cooler temperatures today, we are almost perfectly average. 80 was our high. I'll let you know what you can expect for a chance for storms overnight, where we could see some flooding tomorrow, and how long this cooler weather will last.
Ukraine continues its lightning-fast counteroffensive that has had the Russian military reeling for much of the past week. Yesterday, the Ukrainians captured more territory, and today, the Ukrainian military reported for the first time it shot down an Iranian-made attack drone used by Russian forces. That progress is mostly in the northeast, whereas Russia is still keeping a hold on southern territory.
The counteroffensive from Ukraine has brought hope now for the country in the 7-month-long war with Russia.
Fox 13 News reporter Chris Arnold spoke with Ukrainians in Utah who say this could be a turning point.
We wake up at 5:30 a.m. 24th February, and just the rocket was near our house.
After first going to safety west of Ukraine, it wasn't until last month that Daniela Rychagova, her parents and 2 siblings left and came here to Utah, finding refuge in this Methodist church.
I was born in Ukraine. I grew up in Ukraine, and it was so hard to understand it first couple days, even couple weeks. What is going on?
All the while, Daniela, just 15 years old and now a student at Olympus High School in Holiday, has kept a close eye on what's happening in her hometown of Kyiv and the entire country, as she says the military is fighting to reclaim territory.
Our militaries, they are very good results, and you can see it.
It has brought optimism for Ukrainians like Daniela and others, as they've seen the 7-month-long war between Russia and Ukraine change course over the last week.
I think it's kind of a critical moment because Russian also retreat before, but mostly it was not because they had high pressure from the side of Ukrainian military.
Anatoly Garan has called Utah home for 12 years after coming here from Kherson. Fox 13 News asked Garan if he feels like the past week has been a turning point in the war with Russia.
I think, yes, that it might be a turning point, and Ukrainian forces can progress faster.
This week, in just a 24-hour span, the Ukrainian military was able to liberate 20 villages. That includes the Kharkiv region, home to Ukraine's second-largest city.
Russians tried to capture this region maybe 2-3 months.
With the Ukrainian military not only liberating certain areas, but pushing the Russian military back, it has brought hope for those like Daniela.
We are want to win because it was our country, and there was our grandmas, granddads, so it's ours. It's not theirs.
Now, while the hope is that Ukraine can continue to make progress, those like Garan were quick to point out that he doesn't see any reasons why Russia won't try to keep this war going. In Mill Creek, Chris Arnold, Fox 13 News, Utah.
A Utah artist is honoring a Colorado police officer who was killed in the line of duty. We'll show you how when we come back. Jeff?
Well, 2 Utah Jazz players were officially introduced today.
It's not like Kansas, obviously. You walk outside and you get a nice mountain view, everywhere you look.
Yeah, we'll hear from Colin Sexton and Ochai Agbaji coming up in sports.
It's now been 2 days since this Colorado police officer was shot and killed in the line of duty.
Officer Dylan Vankoff was a member of the Arvada Police Department. Since then, people from all walks of life have rallied around both the department and Officer Vankoff's family. After hearing the news, an Ogden man is hard at work as we speak, making a special piece of art for that officer's family.
Fox 13 News reporter Spencer Joseph spent the day with him and his daughter as they worked and found out why he is so passionate about donating his time and efforts to help.
Working hard in his garage in Ogden, Nate I is carving up something special.
When I hear about these things, I want to help. I want to try to make a little bit of a difference in their life.
He's a master at his craft, carving signs, guitars, and everything in between.
I started woodworking about 15 years ago. My father was a woodworker. What I love most about woodworking is I love taking something special and unique and creating a memory with it.
But one of the most important things he works on are badges for the families of fallen officers.
I started doing badges about 7 or 8 years ago. The first badge I donated to a fallen officer was for Unified Police's officer Doug Barney. I've done hundreds of these now, and I guess this has just become a part of me now.
Sunday, Officer Dylan Vankoff of the Arvada, Colorado Police Department was called in to check the well-being of 2 kids. Someone opened fire, and Officer Vankoff was shot and killed.
His service and sacrifice will never be forgotten.
The moment Nate heard the news, he got to work.
A lot of times when I'm building these badges, there's a lot of emotions that come through me. I'm sad. It's a very sobering feeling building a fallen officer's police badge.
With his tools and skills, he works to transfer the fallen officer's badge onto wood.
It feels good.
And even though sometimes his tools don't always cooperate,
Carved so many badges with them, I keep them. So they're sentimental. So
he crafts something beautiful.
I hope that the family of the Officer Vankoff can hang this somewhere special where they can look at it in 10, 15 years down the road and remember that sacrifice that he made for his community.
He has until tomorrow to finish it, and there it will be a part of his funeral.
This badge represents a massive sacrifice to this community, and to be able to put that in a piece of wood, that's cool to me.
Even Nate's daughter, Jo, helps pitch in when it's this important with a message of her own.
I'm sorry that someone in your family died. We made this for you so you guys can smile bright on your face.
So as a community works to recover,
there's a lot of us that care, and there's a lot of us that have your backs.
Nate keeps working, hoping to give what he can and bring peace to Officer Vakoff's family and the state of Colorado.
If I could just pass a message along to Colorado.
Spencer Joseph.
We're watching, and
Fox 13 News.
We're sending our love.
Utah.
Well, tonight's one of those nights where you'll get a lightning show out across some of the valleys right now across northern Utah. We are seeing some lightning currently. Same thing just west of Cedar City. So let's go ahead and get to northern Utah, where we've got a line of thunderstorms that have been developing from Grantsville over Antelope Island all the way up towards the Bear Lake area. So some of these storms are producing lightning, gusty conditions, some small hail, and some brief heavy rainfall. And then as you look just west of Cedar City this evening, out towards Enterprise, we've had a ton of lightning as well. So through the overnight hours, we will have a few isolated thunderstorms. At 10 o'clock tonight, we'll have about 60 to 70 for the Wasatch Front. We'll continue with some storms into southwest Utah and isolated across northern Utah through Wednesday morning. And then we'll continue tomorrow afternoon with those comfortable temperatures. Again, close to 80 degrees. Ogden 77 tomorrow, Provo 73 with scattered thunderstorms for the Wasatch Front. For southern Utah tomorrow, St. George 82, Richfield 70, Cedar City 69 degrees tomorrow with scattered thunderstorms. And for eastern Utah, Moab 78 tomorrow afternoon. For the Price area, 71 degrees, and for Vernal, Uinta Basin, 72 tomorrow p.m. We look at your flash flood potential for tomorrow, and it's probable for Arches, Canyonlands, Glen Canyon, Grand Staircase, Natural Bridges, Grand Gulch, and Zion National Park. Possible elsewhere. Our rainfall forecast over the next 48 hours does bring us to a chance for some areas of heavier rainfall with more than half of an inch of rain in the forecast from about Ephraim further north. So we will, for the Wasatch Front, look between half of an inch of rain and an inch and a half of rain over the next 48 hours. For St. George, you're close to 80 degrees for Wednesday, 86 Thursday, 85 Friday. Close to 90 this weekend with sunshine. And I have some good news for you. Not only if you've been waiting for cooler temperatures will you enjoy the 7-day forecast, but also for the first time in a while, our air quality is going to be good for Wednesday and Thursday. So if you have heart or lung conditions, I'm sure you're loving that forecast. 75 on Friday. Keep the umbrella handy through the weekend. In fact, we're going to have a chance for storms pretty much every day here along the Wasatch Front throughout the next week. But our best chances will be Wednesday night and Thursday night. For Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, scattered storms. You're looking at widely scattered storms Saturday, isolated by Sunday, with some widely scattered storms early next week. And then by the middle of next week, look at these temperatures. Monday night into the 40s. Next Tuesday, temperatures only close to 70 degrees. And our precipitation outlook for the 21st of September through the 27th is going to be drier than usual. But cooler temps are on the way.
While Lauri Markkanen has been tearing it up for Finland in Eurobasket, the two other Jazz players acquired from Cleveland in the Donovan Mitchell trade are here. Ochai Agbaji was the 14th overall pick from Kansas in this year's NBA draft. Colin Sexton, also a lottery pick in 2018, and averaged 20 points per game during his fourth season with the Cavaliers.
I'm excited just to pretty much just be one of the top leaders on the team and just be able to show the young guys the way. I just want to come in each and every day and give it 110% and be the best Colin I can be.
When I first found out about the trade, it was just kind of my welcome to the NBA moment. I hadn't even played a single game, a single minute of NBA action, and I had already been traded. So I just see it as a good opportunity. Anywhere where I had ended up, I think would have been, a good opportunity for me, and I'm going to make the best of it. But I'm excited to be here, and, it's just, like I said, just a great opportunity.
Everybody that's here right now has good attitudes, and we all work hard. At the end of the day, we're going to control what we can and just keep pushing and get through it and also win games. That's the biggest thing. As long as everybody's winning and we're winning games, then it's going to be fun.
2.4 million TV viewers watched BYU beat Baylor on Saturday night, the most watched late-night game on ESPN since 2016. BYU had another top 25 matchup this week when the 12th-ranked Cougars play at number 25 Oregon. And you can watch that game right here on Fox 13 with kickoff set for 1:30 this Saturday at Autzen Stadium, which is a place BYU's Caleb Hayes knows well after playing there with Oregon State before transferring to BYU.
Autzen Stadium brings in a lot of energy, which is
which is gonna, I feel like it's gonna help us because it's exciting. This is what we dreamed of when we were little kids, to be in a spot where millions is looking at us. So I'm just telling them, just enjoy it, be in the moment, and just play our football because it's gonna be fun.
14th ranked Utah hosts San Diego State on Saturday. The Utes coming off a high-scoring win over Southern Utah, but they're still focused on fixing the mistakes from Week 1's loss at Florida. Today, after practice, Utah safety Cole Bishop says he's seen the improvement.
Obviously, everyone was pretty mad after the loss against Florida, but coming out and having such a big win is really helpful, just helping the guys get back in it. A lot of the things with Florida had nothing to do with scheme or anything like that. It was just technique, people not having inside hands. No matter who your opponent is, you can do that. It's not just, oh, it's Florida. That doesn't matter at all. It's just we got to do the little things right. And Week 2, we did a lot better at that, and we can still keep improving on it.
Yeah, and the Utes host San Diego State Saturday night, and they lost to them last year in triple overtime. So this is the game.
Ooh, revenge time.
Yeah,
Saturday.
Well, go back to that big game here, 1:30 on Saturday between BYU and Oregon.
Fox 13.
Pretty
It'll
cool.
be a great atmosphere up there in Austin. We can all watch it right here in the comfort of our homes or studios.
Yeah, I'll be here. Yes, that's right.
Thanks, Jeff.
We'll be right back. Well, finally tonight, a national honor for a haunted house in Salt Lake City. The America Haunts Association awarded legendary status to Nightmare on 13th. The association taps 5 attractions per year for the list, focusing on who offers the best realistic and immersive experience. Nightmare on 13th isn't the only spooky spot in Salt Lake, of course. Last week, Fear Factory was on one of those cool lists as well.
Both great haunted
Great spots.
houses.
I know.
Stick around. Quick Cast is next.